your best friend, you fall in love with your best friend. I don't care if a dude and a dude or a girl and girl. That's where the best friend comes from. You know what I'm saying? I'm in love with Donald, character type thing. So to be able to show that purity in what, love is between two black men, that's also something that grasps my thing, because every time that, a black man wants to show another black man love, it's like always talked about backwards or taken the wrong way. It's like, nah, this is genuinely how black men feel about each other. Like, hey, bro, you good? I want you to make it home, all right? Yeah, hit me when you to the crib.
Welcome to the Variety Virtual Sundance Studio presented by Audible. I am Matt Donnelly, here with the cast and filmmakers of Amazon Studios' Emergency. Harry, let me start with you. Is it true that this was based on this was a short first, right, as proof of concept, and then sort of grew into feature length? And also, so moving through that process, what inspired the short to begin with?
Katie it'd be great if Katie was here to talk about that. She basically talked about in her family, she's a very light-skinned Latina, and other people in her family were darker skinned, and in going to spaces, they would feel that they were treated differently than she was. So off that sort of experience that she had, she started thinking about this idea of, this thing. And then, she wrote it and made a short out of it. It wasn't really supposed to be a proof of concept. It was a standalone piece that Katie Davila wrote, and then we adapted it to a feature afterwards.
And you have this incredible cast. So I would wonder if, just for the actors, how did you sort of connect to get into the material? I'm sure there's situations that everyone here has faced in some regard, and I can't imagine having to sort of dramatize that.
Sean kind of grasped my attention because of his relationship with Kunle, really. It just reminded me of Broderick and Steven, my brothers, and to have the thought that, okay, cool, we outside, we play, we do our thing, we always, here. But then abruptly something could happen that could change the whole course of not just our evening, but our lives, right? It's something that us as black young men, young black men, we deal with every day. So it wasn't really too far that we had to reach. It was like, shoot, I remember the time where, hey, Broderick, come here. They got a movie about it,
For Sabrina and for Maddie, I'm curious, what is sort of like your way into your characters, and because I think it's probably a little bit different for men of color in this specific context when it comes to dealing with police and sort of those consequences. But what's sort of the spectrum of sort of feminine representation there?
I think everyone, like high school age, they really want to test their boundaries in terms of like partying, and it's all very new and it's all very exciting. And she just wanted to go to this party and have fun, and then she went into the wrong house and messed up everyone's life. I think everyone's sort of been that person before, just testing how far they can go, and then it's too far, just knowing your limits.
The female representation in this movie is so interesting because they're all such strong characters. Like, I think Maddie's obviously a super strong-willed, outspoken, but there's a lot of ups and downs that sort of they encounter. And I think as a young female, it's going to be scary. And I think in Maddie's case, she's assuming the worst, which gets her into trouble as well.
It was really important to have those early conversations with RJ and Carrie. And that's one thing that I was actually really excited about, because Carrie, connected with RJ, and I was like, okay, so how do you guys see these characters? How do you see this? And I like to move like musically. So I'm like, oh, I made this playlist, and Carrie goes off. He's like, dog, I do the same thing. So now we were like sharing all this music back and forth, and I have music on there from, I got this from high school. And then when I met Sean, these are songs that, Sean sort of introduced me to. And it's just having that love, with another person. And I don't know, he's so structured in everything else that he does, that when he's knocked off course, this isn't anything that he prepared for. And it's an exciting thing. I think we all kind of look for, that moment, that movie moment in your life, but you want it to be an adventure, not like a horror adventure. So You know, he's CPR certified, but he never wants to be able to like really use it. And it's so yeah, it was really interesting.
What was some of the music you chose for your playlist?
Oh man. Oh my gosh.
A lot of Fall Out Boy.
There was a Fallout on the original. There was a lot of Fall Out Boy. Kool-Aid had a big Fall Out Boy kick.
What I loved about it was it did have a variety, and it sparked my brain of like, I wonder where that is coming from. With your playlist, I was like, okay, I wonder, you know, where does Dawn intersect with the Kunle of this all, you know, as we're getting to know each other. I felt that was beautiful to discover what you think about the character, but also potentially discover something about you too.
Do you think the movie has anything to say about sort of where we're at with, you know, I think about like last year and especially, you know, after the events of summer 2020, talking about changing our dynamic and our relationship with the police in our industry and in a national conversation. Do you think the movie has anything really to say about that and how we feel about it now? Or is it more very specific to just this one single narrative?
I mean, I think it definitely has something to say about it, but it also raises questions about the viewer and where you stand on your belief system. And, you know, if you feel like, oh yeah, they could have just done this, no problem. Well, that might be easy for you to say from your, you know, your privilege and perspective, but not for the next person. And hopefully those questions that arise from that, you will discuss with someone, you know, that feels like, oh no, they couldn't have done this or whatever it is, and spark some conversations. Because, you know, we're making films, we're not trying to answer questions, we're trying to raise questions and provoke some thought and discourse. And I think that there's not enough discussion amongst people these days. I think people are like, you either with me or you're against me. That's not really how it should be. It should be like, let's talk about shit more and figure out how to come to some sort of, you know, at least understanding. You know, it may not be like, I agree, like an understanding is important. So, you know, hopefully this film raises those questions within us saying something, you know, because we are.